Tradition 8. Codependents Anonymous should remain forever non-professional, but our service centers may employ special workers. Tradition 8 refers to the very essence of how the 12-step program works. The 12 steps were born when one sick person, an alcoholic, was able to share his experience, strength, and hope with another, with no thought of reward. Their identification with each other helped these two pioneers to see their shared problems more clearly and led the way to a shared solution. The same holds true in CoDA, where the most powerful message we have is our own experience, strength, and hope about our recovery from our own codependence. Traditions 2 and 12 are often used to illustrate the principle of equality. Sometimes the non-professional aspect of Tradition 8 is used to further the same idea, but Tradition 8 goes far beyond the principle of equality. Non-professional means quite simply that we don't get paid. Tradition 8 reminds us that when we're engaged in our primary purpose of carrying a message of hope to other codependents, we seek no compensation. Instead, we perform service to our fellowship and we do 12-step work out of a sense of gratitude and to further our own spiritual growth. As the saying goes, we do what we do for fun and for free. Certainly, some CoDA members may perform paid work for CoDA. Tradition 8 also points out that our service centers may employ special workers if necessary. When we would otherwise have to pay someone for a service, Tradition 7 reminds us we must pay our own way as a fellowship. If a CoDA member happens to offer skills that we would otherwise pay for, it's appropriate to hire them for that purpose. But there is a key difference between service and employment. Ultimately, the 8th tradition is about the spiritual principle of unconditional love. Tradition 8 reminds us not to put a price tag on love. This principle may run counter to our own experience in our pre-recovery lives. Many of us learned to view love as conditional, and we practiced what we learned. How many of us have equated love with approval, for example? We may have withheld our love from someone because we disapproved of their behavior. Or perhaps we were scorekeepers and kept a balance sheet in our heads. I did this for her, why doesn't she love me? He gave me a gift, I'd better find one for him. Even the simple act of expressing our love for our partner may have had a price tag attached if we had expectations of our partner. I told him I love him. Why didn't he say it back? When we begin to apply Tradition 8 throughout our lives, we try to watch for those places where we participate in relationships that aren't unconditional. If we have expectations of others, we try to remember that we cannot control them, and that we are only responsible for our own side of the street. If others are indirect, expecting us to read their minds, we insist on directness. We refrain from participating in tit-for-tat exchanges. As we practice moving the conditions from our relationships, we find that we can be more honest, open, and direct. We begin to seek out our higher power working in our relationship and in the lives of those we love. In learning to practice unconditional love, we sometimes find it useful to engage in random acts of kindness or anonymous good deeds. By avoiding recognition for our positive actions, we learn self-esteem rather than depending on the approval of others. Tradition 8 also suggests there is no professional way to share our experience, strength, and hope. It doesn't matter how long any of us have been going to CoDA meetings or working the program. We never reach professional status. Instead, we are fellow travelers walking the same path to the best of our ability. If we can bring the same open-mindedness to our relationships, we are free to explore, to practice, and to make mistakes without fear of repercussion. After all, we now know that you can't earn unconditional love. The same freedom allows our relationship partners to make mistakes without fear that we will withdraw our love from them. Questions we might consider in applying Tradition 8 in our lives. 1. What does unconditional love mean to me? 2. Is my love unconditional? In which relationships do I place conditions for my love? 3. Do I withhold my love to punish others? In what relationships do I do this? 4. Do I try to earn someone else's love? What have I offered in exchange? 5. Do I have expectations of others before I will act in a loving way? 6. Do I expect to be rewarded for doing the right thing? Do I keep score? 7. Do I participate in mind-reading games? Do I try to guess at someone else's thoughts and feelings or expect them to read mine? 8. How would my life be different if all my relationships were free of conditions or expectations?